Tonight we discover that if you boil fantasy and sci-fi down to their basic ingredients, sometimes all you get are two guys with glowing sticks and some serious family issues. Welcome back to another matchup from Who Would Win Masters. I am Sam Proof on all the socials, and in this episode, representing Warner Brothers, the boy who took 7 books to find all of the Horcruxes because he kept looking in all the wrong places, it's Harry Potter! And representing Lucasfilms, the Jedi who found out Father's Day can be a real Sith show, it's Luke Skywalker! Give him a hand, folks. All right, let's meet today's guest. Our guest is the best-selling author, creator of Bad Grammar, publisher of Gungear Books, Matthew Medney. Matthew, welcome to the show.
Everyone?
How's it
How
going?
you doing?
What draws you to Harry Potter?
Well, I mean, I am a lifelong holder of the Elder Wand and the Deathly Hallows. I would just say it was a book series that came out right as I was Harry's age. So he was 12 when I was 12, and I just read them every year growing up. And the magic of that world is very economical in the words used in the book. So I'm just a huge fan.
Awesome. Do you have a favorite book?
Ooh. Favorite book is probably Goblet of Fire.
Okay. All right, cool. All right, well, let's get into
just because, like, Quidditch World Cup, you know? I mean,
sure.
Quidditch World Cup.
The Quidditch is the best part. All that other hoo-ha with the noseless guy, whatever. All right, let's get into today's Tale of the Tape, and then we'll meet your opponent. Today's Tale of the Tape is brought to you by the Cool Stick Club. Everybody likes a cool stick. You're walking through the woods, you spot it, a perfectly straight branch, nice grip, good weight, maybe a little forked at the end. You pick it up. Suddenly, you're 10 years old again. At the Cool Stick Club, we believe life is too short for mediocre sticks. Whether you're a wizard, a space knight, or just a guy pointing at things dramatically, we've got the stick for you. Long sticks, short sticks, curved sticks, elegant sticks, even our exclusive line of premium glow sticks for those moments when your stick needs simply is to shine brighter than everyone else's. AI sticks? Sure, we got them. And remember, it's not about the size of your stick. It's how confidently you wave it around while making dramatic sound effects. Every month, stickspurts are out there searching for nature's finest, pointiest, pokiest, swishiest, and whooshiest sticks. That's our premium stick guarantee, because when someone says, "Whoa, that's a really cool stick," you'll know that you've made it. And if you want to grab some virtual sticks, just say, "Alexa, open Cool Stick Club," and then find me a cool stick. Disclaimer, please do not challenge strangers to duels. Glow sticks are not magical. Actual magic sold separately. Stick quality may vary. That sounds really fun. So, yeah, if you're a member of the Discord, send us a picture of your cool sticks today.
No, please don't do that. Don't do that. I don't want to see that.
Okay, all right, let's move on. Tonight, we have the heavyweight of heavyweight battles. On one side, we have Harry Potter, the boy who lived, who is a magically attuned youth who attends the wizarding school Hogwarts to learn his craft. Facing down his demons both outside and within, Harry embodies the hope and strength of spirit needed in the darkest of times. Harry Potter was created by nobody of note and first appeared in the novel Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone back in 1997. On the other side, we have Luke Skywalker. Luke is a Force-attuned youth who is trained by a series of mentors in a space wizardry called the Force. Facing down his demons, both outside and within, Luke embodies the hope and strength of spirit needed in the darkest of times. Luke was created by George Lucas and first appeared in the movie Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, in 1977. Speaking of demons outside and within, it is time to introduce your opponent. He's big, he's bad, he can actually work a match. It's Ray Stacanis! Ray, how are you feeling about today's matchup?
I am thrilled to be doing this matchup today. You know, on the previous incarnation of Who Would Win, we did Harry Potter versus Luke Skywalker, and it was our most listened to episode of all time. And I said, well, we've got a new property. This is Who Would Win Masters. We're doing it better. We're doing it the right way. We're going to rock this out of the park. So when I got connected with Matt over here and he said, I want to do Harry Potter on the Who Would Win Masters show, I said, boy, howdy, have I got a matchup for you then. And here we are. I will be taking Luke Skywalker, the Force-attuned boy who lived.
Awesome. All right. I hope everyone's ready
I
for
love
that.
it.
Nice.
We're ready to rock.
Then let's get into it. It is time for our rules in under 1 minute.
Here are your rules for Who Would Win Masters in 1 minute. Number 1, there will be 3 timed rounds with counterpoints allowed. Number 2, characters will have no prior knowledge of their opponent and no outside interference will be allowed. Number 3, keep the characters in character. Outliers and crossovers will be given less weight. Number 4, battles can be won by death, knockout, battlefield removal, or incapacitation. And number 5, after the battle, I will give my unofficial opinion as to who wins and why. However, I am just one voice. It will be up to all of you on our social media and our Patreon to make your voices heard as to who won.
And let me add, people have been asking on the Patreon and Discord, when is the musical song version of the Rules of Who Would Win Masters going to occur? I'm going to tell you right now, it is in process. We are working on it. We have some anchors out. If you're musically inclined and you're at home and you want to make your own version, send it in. It might be better than what we come up with.
All right, you heard it, folks. Get in on that. If you do decide to send us your composition, email whowouldwinmasters@gmail.com, or feel free to post it on the Discord and get other opinions from folks in the community as well. Now, that being said, it is time to get into the battle. It is time for our point number 1. Matthew, as our guest, you will start us off. 3 minutes on the clock, starting now.
Awesome. Well, I think the most important point about Harry Potter is that he was birthed and defended through love. I know Ray Skywalker knows a little bit about love over there because he has a Dan Campbell Lions flag up in there, and they're all about the love in the brotherly city. And Harry Potter, his magic is not just derived from his ability to care about everyone around him. He literally was birthed and defended through love. If Lily didn't die defending him, he would not be the chosen one. And he did not have to be the chosen one. If you all remember, it could have been Neville Longbottom. So his entire life was decided by a prophecy that he who must not be named decided to embody Harry with. Now, not just did he get imbued with a secret Horcrux that then he had to figure out a way to use love to destroy. We're all on the same page. He had to give up his own life to defend the entirety of Hogwarts, to then let that Horcrux be destroyed from within him and give his life a chance to emerge once again. Now, I think it's ridiculous that nobody realized he might have been a Horcrux because he was talking to snakes early on. You know, we should have realized that probably by book 3, but that's not here or there. What's important to know is that love in the book and in Harry is the reason that he is a superior character to anybody else, because he doesn't want to be anything. He does not ask for this. He is not thrown into a galactic empire because of his asshole dad. No, his entire life was dedicated to love. James, Lily, Dumbledore, Hagrid, all of these surrounding cast of characters did everything they could to nurture Harry into creating a way of life that would be just wonderfully beautiful. Sirius and Lupin, obviously, Pettigrew is just the biggest of all demons, destroying a future that should have happened. But everybody else came around this baby and said, despite the evil in the world right now, despite what Voldemort
30
is doing,
seconds remaining.
we are going to adorn you with love and adorn you with all of these abilities to defend yourself, so that in the darkest of dark, you know that a light still shines and that you are still loved. And there is no other character that has that level of power. And then that reflection done where he does that for his entire student body. Just what Lily did for him, he did for all of Hogwarts.
All right. Interesting. Ray, 3 minutes on the clock, starting now.
So if I break down your first point is people really like Harry and he died. That is how you're going to open your point number one with who would win in a fight between Harry Potter and Luke Skywalker. I disagree. And I'm going to talk about how Luke Skywalker actually would win a fight against Harry Potter. By the way, everybody loves Luke too. He got loved so much he got hidden from his dad. It's fine. All of it's fine. But let's talk about Luke's physical properties. You know, a thing that will actually cause him to win this fight. He has Jedi training. He's been taught by some of the top level mentors that he possibly could. That includes both combat training as well as dual training. Luke would be better in a combat scenario than the hug fest of Harry Potter that I just heard described. If it comes to kumbaya around the campfire, Harry's got this in the bag. If it comes to one of them defeating the other on the field of battle, Luke Skywalker is the one that you want. This is a guy in the comic books who beat up Boba Fett while he was blinded by a flashbang grenade. He took him out and he couldn't see. That is some expert combat. And I think Luke wins on durability. I haven't seen Harry Potter take a lot of shots, but I've seen Luke Skywalker take a lot in his. He tanked all the garbage, literal garbage, that Darth Vader flung at him in the Empire Strikes Back battle, right, with his force powers. Luke in the comic books got smacked real hard by somebody named Congo the Disemboweler. I honestly don't really know who that is, but that name is so awesome I wanted it in this episode. He tanked a crap load of Palpatine's force lightning. He could also fall a long way. He fell out of an AT-AT and was fine. This is a guy who fell out of Cloud City. That's pretty rough. He ended up, I can't believe he didn't take more damage, falling as far as he did. It seems like something should have burst, but it didn't. And often Luke is near explosions and is fine. But not only that, my man's got a robot hand like his name was Ash Williams in Evil Dead 2. 3, I should say, Army of Darkness. This could prove useful. Harry Potter's not going to expect a guy with a robot hand. That could actually, if he gets a grip on him, could really put the squeeze, if you will, on Harry Potter in a close environment. Also, Luke can assess environment in stressful combat situations. Remember when he threw the rock that hit the control panel that brought the gate down on that Rancor's head under Jabba's palace? Well, Pepperidge Farm remembers. And finally, he's much more athletic than Harry Potter. I've seen Harry's fine. He's a young guy, he plays Quidditch, he rides a broom, wonderful. But Luke could jump high and wider than he could ever expect, and he uses that athleticism in combat. I've seen him jump over a lightsaber strike from Vader and then backflip away and up onto a walkway. That's not possible. And my final thing, he could balance on one hand upside down with Yoda on his leg and still lift some rocks. This guy is a freak of nature.
All right, there's a lot to address. Yes, there's a lot to address there, and you have 60 seconds for your counterpoint, starting now.
I'm not really sure where to start, but we can start, I guess, where Luke Skywalker is cleaning up for his father's mistakes the entirety of his entire life. So I guess if you call that being heroic, then sure. Physicality is irrelevant when Harry has his wand in his hand because he'll literally be able to stop Luke from even getting remotely close to him with a Protego spell, or he'll be able to take the lightsaber out of Luke's hand with Expelliarmus. So I don't really think the need for Harry to be training physically matters at all. Also, if we're talking about robot hands, in Harry Potter, he could just build a new hand. He doesn't need to replace his hand with a robotic hand because he doesn't have the skill set to make a new hand. Like Peter Pettigrew with Voldemort in Goblet of Fire, or like Harry in Chamber of Secrets. Both of them were given new hands when Harry's bones were removed by Lockhart and Pettigrew's hand was chopped off by Voldemort. They just got new hands because they don't need to use technology to fix things. They have magic.
All right.
I'm like getting into
the
it
fire
now.
I was hoping
there you
to
go.
see.
There's the fight.
Now
We
it's
see
the
it.
battle. Now
Let's
the
go.
prologue's out of the way.
Yeah.
We're about to start throwing haymakers.
Polearm, is that another hand joke? Anyway, yeah, no, I thought that was it was an interesting, point number one. I thought Ray really came in swinging, but then on the counterpoint, Matt really brought the heat to like dispel a lot of those points. I thought that was well done.
Let me tell you right now, at the end of Matt's point number 1, I said, this is going to be a cakewalk. I'm about to just pillar to post him. And then I did my point number 1, which is, of course, brilliant. S tier, 10 out of 10, no notes. But then Matt came back with one of the strongest counterpoints that I've ever seen in the history of this show. So now, it's a
well
fight,
done.
and I am here for it.
Yeah, we'll see if the Magic versus Tech debate needs to continue after this break.
Before we continue,
yes,
you had a question in the chat, and I want to make sure we address it. Am I defending Potter as Harry or as Matt? You are Matt explaining why Harry Potter would win a fight against Luke Skywalker in a situation where there is no outside interference. They do not know each other going into the battle, so there's no like prior knowledge. And it's if we drop the two of them in some sort of neutral location that was not a specific advantage to either one, who comes out as the victor of this fight?
It's kind of hilarious that we would even think that Luke Skywalker could win that fight.
I'm glad to hear you say that. Now I want to get that fired for our point number 2.
All right. And we're back. Let's get right into point number 2. Matt, you will start us off again with 3 minutes on the clock, starting now.
Okay, so let's just quickly talk about how Harry can fly on a broomstick and hasn't even remotely touched dark magic, but we know he can. He's used the Cruciatus Curse. He's used the Imperious Curse. He's done things that he's needed to do in the Battle of Hogwarts. So we know he has the capability and the prowess to use such weapons. All he would need to do in this fight is Imperial Luke and tell him to saber himself, and the fight is over. So there is no battle here. But let's just say Harry is more virtuous than that because, and in my first point, to be very clear, the reason I harped on love is because love with Harry is a weapon. Just like how Voldemort never understood how powerful love was, and that was his downfall. It's why it's Rey's downfall here. He's not grasping how important love is in the ability to fight. Harry also has a broomstick, a firebolt. He would bring the firebolt, or wait, if he can't bring it, he would just call it. Like he called it from 10,000 feet away when he fought the dragon in Goblet of Fire. So Harry's ability to use things that are not presently near him is easy enough for him to call. He can also call the mer people if we drop Harry and Luke near an ocean, and he can just go call any amalgamation of interesting beings to his assistance because he does lead an entire subculture of beings. Luke is kind of that, but he does it in the shadows. People kind of hear who he is. If we're talking about the timeline of Star Wars, every so many years, the Jedi just go into myth. Harry and the wizarding world, to them, is a very articulately discerned culture that has history, and everybody knows who the boy who lived is. So he has a ton of allies. Not to mention, the most important thing is he used the Elder Wand to fix his wand. So he has the power of the Elder Wand in his wand that he finds to be the only magical item he wants to use in a fight. This is the guy who has disarmed Voldemort, who has disarmed Draco Malfoy when he was using the Elder Wand, which made him the master of death. We are talking about the literal reincarnation of a character who has the title Master of Death. And we are trying to think that he could not...
30 seconds remaining.
Physicality matters in a fight. Why does the way... Let's just have him take out his invisibility cloak and see what happens. The amount of items that Harry keeps on him at any one point would allow him to win any fight at any point. Doesn't even matter who it is. He would destroy Darth Vader in an instant fight, and Luke is a fraction of that amount of power.
All right, Ray, 3 minutes on the clock for your point number 2, starting now.
You say to yourself, oh, Harry Potter's the object and the embodiment of love, and then immediately come back with, I think Harry Potter potentially could cast a spell to make Luke disembowel himself after just meeting him. I don't think those two statements align, sir. And I'm going to spend this point number 2 talking about the ultimate weapon that Luke Skywalker would use in this battle. His lightsaber. Let's keep it real. The green lightsaber might be the best one. And Luke, when he first started with this weapon, remember, he was so dumb. He looked down the barrel of it and almost took out his own head right there in the first episode. What a nerd. But he also used wild swings against Darth Vader in Empire Strikes Back, and Vader was so embarrassed by this, he beat him one-handed. I had a friend do that to me in racquetball once, and it was, quite frankly, shameful. I was so bad he went left-handed and crushed me. But I'm not here to talk about that. Eventually, Luke Skywalker, unlike me in racquetball, became one of the most skilled and feared combatants in the universe. Galaxy, I don't know how this works, but Luke Skywalker uses a combat style that is highly adaptive, and it's a hybrid form. He focused mainly originally on forms 3, 4, and 5, which he learned from either fighting Vader or training with Yoda, which is counterattacking, acrobatics, and defense. He works on defense first and then counterattacks when possible. But as he became a grandmaster, he learned all 7 of the classic forms of lightsaber and then invented a few more of his own. That's the type of combatant we're talking about today. Harry Potter. When did Harry Potter invent spells? Maybe he did. You read the books, I didn't. But I remember Harry Potter using spells that other people taught him and kind of sticking right there. Well, here's the thing I'm going to talk about, because we've seen Luke Skywalker repel and deflect blaster fire with his lightsaber. I've seen how those spells come out of the wands. What stops Luke Skywalker from doing the same to those spells and deflecting and reflecting them back at Harry Potter when they get shot at him as if they were laser beams? He also was trained to do it blindfolded too, which is great. No problem at all. Look, Harry Potter, if he's going to win this, has to stay at medium range and lob spells at Luke over and over and over again. I don't see Harry Potter as like what do you call it? Like a bolter repeater, machine gun fire of spells. He tends to throw one and see what happens, and throw one and see what happens. That's what I've seen in the movies, at least. Luke has the speed and athleticism to get around some of this, close the distance, and if he gets in close with Harry Potter, use his lightsaber to strike him down and become stronger than he could have ever imagined. I don't know if that last part is true. At this point, when you get in close, the lightsaber is the difference between these two, and one of these two is a trained warrior, and the other is a child who survived being zapped as a baby. I love me some Harry Potter as far as the character goes, but Luke Skywalker in a battle scenario is just too strong.
Well, oh baby, or oh zapped child. Let's see what Matt has for us in his counterpoint. 60 seconds on the clock, starting now.
So first off, just because Harry was birthed into love does not mean he cannot do what is needed to do to defend himself and the people that he loves. So he would have no issues using whatever curse is needed if his life or the people he loves are in danger. Second, in your argument, you have toggled between multiple versions of Luke Skywalker, New Hope Skywalker, all the way to Grand Master Skywalker. If we're going to dial it that much along the timeline, Harry becomes the greatest Auror to ever live in the history of the magical world, running the Auror department for the Ministry of Magic for over 25 years. So we're not talking about a child at that point. We're talking about a character who has the best ability to hunt down dark wizards and bring them to justice. So I don't think your little boy with a magic wand really holds any weight, because we're talking about one of the greatest wizards to ever exist, including Dumbledore in that conversation.
And let me be very clear here. When I am making this battle, I am talking about Luke Skywalker, the Grand Master from The Mandalorian, and I am referring to Harry Potter as the baby in the bassinet who got zapped by Voldemort. This is not even a battle.
All right. Bring it down. We're gonna go to a break, and we'll come back and see what happens in our third point. But before that, this was great. This was a big shift from point number one. There's a lot on the table here to unpack between our Grandmaster and our Greatest Aura. And yeah, I want to see how you both paint that final picture of, I guess, nailing a nail in the what? That's not the right metaphor for this. Anyway, we'll see how you paint a path to victory in point number 3 after this break. All right, gang, let's do it. This is our point number 3. Matt, 3 minutes on the clock, starting now.
So I want to start this point with just a really important distinction. Harry, through his entire career, from being a baby in a bassinet all the way to being the greatest Auror, never did the thing that Grand Master Luke did, which is destroy a young Jedi named Ben Solo. He never, ever, ever did anything in the wizarding world that jeopardized the life of another great fighter, wizard, human. We can't say the same thing about a Skywalker. The thing that's most important to understand here in this final 3-minute battle about Harry is that he is a master wizard. When you say getting in close, I don't think you grasp what a Protego spell would do or a Wingardium Leviosa spell where he would just lift Luke by his feet and fling him to the other side of the room. He could also just disarm him with an Expelliarmus charm, the most classic Harry Potter move. He loves a good disarming charm, and he has disarmed Severus Snape, Lucius Malfoy, Voldemort, Bellatrix Lestrange, and a number of other high-profile Death Eaters with this charm. All he would need to do is to use that same charm against Luke and take his lightsaber from him. And then what does Luke have? Luke has some Jedi mind tricks that may or may not work against a wizard of Harry's caliber. And maybe like using the Force to push him. Harry would just end up grabbing his broomstick and flying above him and striking him from above. In this case, Harry would have the high ground. And we all know what happens when you have the high ground in anything Star Wars related. So I'm pretty sure Harry has this in the bag. But in my final minute here, I want to make sure it's very clear that even before Harry was a fully trained wizard, his cunningness is what always kept him alive. From fighting the troll when he was 12 in his first year at Hogwarts, using nothing more than a wand as a poker through the troll's nose just to get him off of his feet, to figuring out how to create lullabies for a 3-headed dog that was going to eat them, to understanding how the riddle with the Mirror of Erised worked. Harry's intelligence and cunningness is what actually kept him moving, not his magical skill. Luke had to be trained in all of these ways, and he is a disciple of this. He was not born with these gifts like Harry
30
was.
seconds remaining.
Ooh, that was exciting. My last point on Harry, and I will leave it with this for everybody listening, is that we have somebody with a wand who does not need to get into any proximity of his opponent to be able to win a battle with it. Luke has to get to the edge of the lightsaber's light to actually inflict pain from it. So Harry will easily be able to win a fight because he could stay further away and be able to just whip spells at Luke without any need to get closer.
All right, Ray, it is time for your final point. Point number 3, 3 minutes on the clock, starting now.
I am outraged that you actually had the nerve to say Luke puts his friends in danger and Harry Potter doesn't? Are you out of your mind right now? Every one of his escapades puts all of his close friends at risk of Death Eaters or those ghost spirit things whose name I'm blanking on but probably should have written down. He is always putting people in danger. How dare you, sir? Anyway, I am going to talk about the Force and some of the biggest things that Luke Skywalker did, because Luke Skywalker eventually becomes one of the greatest 1v1 duelists in the entire galaxy. After spending 2 movies getting mollywopped by him, he finally beats Darth Vader 1v1 and takes him out. cuts off his hand. You know what Harry Potter's going to do when Luke cuts off his hand with a lightsaber? It won't be wielding a wand, because what's he going to do? Put it in the stump? I think not. We've seen Luke Skywalker beat 7 Force-attuned Knights of Ren at the same time. We've seen him in The Mandalorian place a platoon of third-generation Dark Troopers. These are heavily armored, battle-ready Imperial combat droids that the Mandalorian couldn't beat one-on-one. He took them all out. And in fact, I'm glad you keep going back to the Expelliarmus, because if Luke gets disarmed by that spell, he can just use the Force to bring it back to his hand again. And Harry's not going to see that coming. In fact, not only can he do that, he can do telekinesis. We've seen him lift some rocks. We've also seen him pick up a whole X-Wing fighter out of a swamp. If Harry wants to fly around on his broom above, all Luke's got to do is just lift up his hand, and he could stop the Force in midair and bring it crashing down to the earth, where he could easily take out Harry Potter from there. He also would use the Force push, yes, because Harry Potter has to say these words out loud. I mean, I guess he could think them too. The point is, as I learned in Dungeons & Dragons, that requires an element of focus. And Force pushing and Force moving around his body would disorient him and disrupt Harry Potter from his spell casting. Also, he could hit him with objects telekinetically around him like Vader did to him. And also use your darn cloak. Go invisible, because Luke can use the Force to sense threats around him. So he doesn't need to see Harry Potter. He can feel Harry Potter. And Harry's going to have his defenses down if he goes under that cloak. And boop, he's going to get smacked by that lightsaber, and he's not going to see it coming. But what about body projection? We saw in the Last Jedi, Luke could summon a fake Luke and take all the aggro spells from Harry Potter. Well, he sneaks in around behind him and takes him out from behind. Heck, Force choke. Allegedly, Luke could use it. I don't think he would, so I'm just going to cut the malarkey on that. If he was desperate, he has dark Force powers. He tries not to use them. But lastly here, remember when he blew up the Death Star with an impossible shot by turning off the guidance system? He just shut his eyes and felt through the moment, and he did that in his youngest, most worthless state as a fighter. The universe wants Luke to succeed. The universe will give him everything he needs to accomplish that goal.
All right, Matt, your last counterpoint, 60 seconds on the clock, starting now.
There are so many things there that I need to get to that I will not get to within the 60 seconds here. But first and foremost, I'll say he had to fight the Knights of Ren because he created the Knights of Ren for being a terrible mentor. Let's just make sure it's really clear that that is a self-inflicted wound, just like all of the Skywalker wounds are all self-inflicted. Harry does not need to speak any spell. He is a master wizard. You can think them. He does not need to focus. He is able to do them at his own will. The invisibility cloak that he has is not some willy-nilly invisibility cloak. It is the invisibility cloak of death. So it cannot be sensed once he goes under it. It is an extraordinarily magical and rare item that is a one of one. If Harry goes under it, he cannot be detected. Voldemort can detect him. Nobody can detect him. Luke most certainly will not be able to use the Force to detect him. And while it's nice that the universe wants Luke to win, magic protects Harry because of how his mother died for him. So it always comes back to love.
All right, now, as always, Ray has not had counterpoints throughout the show, but he does get a final thought. So, Ray, whenever you're ready.
You know, you're talking a lot about love through all of your 3 points, and what I don't love is how hard you made me work for this. I really did feel like we were daisies in the park, and then you came about as hard as anybody's come on this show, and you made me a little bit nervous. Thankfully, I'm still going to win. Thankfully, my points were obviously better. I appreciate that Harry, who has no physical abilities whatsoever and would get pushed around by, a sausage racer at a Milwaukee Brewers game. I am not worried about Harry physically at all. I would be concerned about Harry's endurance, quite honestly, hanging with Luke and having to fight as hard as he is. I would be worried because if I see him cast a lot of spells, it takes a lot out of him. Meanwhile, I see Luke Skywalker with this endurance partially propped up by the Force, which is its own set of magic, I would point out again. And I think that's a perfect counter to what Harry is. You look at these two characters. Harry Potter is a great magician. He's the David Blaine of his own generation, and that's great. But Luke Skywalker is a great fighter, and he is a great swordsman. He very much will use the lightsaber. Harry Potter will get a little bit overconfident after disarming him, which I think will happen. But then as soon as it comes back into his hands again, as Luke is rushing towards him and jumping and spinning and dodging whatever he needs to dodge, he is going to close that distance. And if Harry Potter tries to go invisible, no, he's going to get felt out by the force of the universe, and he's going to get dropped. If we force Ghost and we create that and Harry Potter goes after him, Luke Skywalker gets him again. If he takes to the air, he's going to use the force once again to bring him down. Harry's best bet is to stick with magic spells at a medium distance. If he can maintain that, he can win. But as you said in your own self, he's going to resort to trinkets and tricks, and that's when it's all going to fall apart for the boy who, sadly, no longer lived.
Okay. Whew. This is great, guys. There is just so much that has been said here today, and beyond just whether or not the Force is space magic, which is a debate we've had in the past on the Discord, I have a lot to think about. So I will be back with my decision.
Figures met in collision. Now let's find out who would win. It's time to hear Sam's decision.
Gentlemen, well done. This is, I think, extremely close. I think we're going to see like the narrowest margin we've seen on the polls in a very long time. So, folks, I hope you've grabbed some butterbeer or a blue milk, sit back, kick your legs up in your slughorn armchair, or cuddle up in your tauntaun. I've got things to say. This was a fantastic battle, and it was great seeing how similar these characters are, which is as interesting as seeing their hero's journey that they each took, from loving, scarred prophecy baby to whining, angsty Destiny's Child. But the writing's on the wall. Matt had, let's call it, a cozy start, as Ray would call it, Harry Potter Hugfest. But after Ray came out swinging, one-handed, mind you, Matt picked up the pace and laid down some serious wand whipping. The scene in my mind certainly plays out that these two come face to face, and in a flick and a swish, Harry disarms the robot-handed Luke with an Expelliarmus. But with no knowledge of the Force, he watches in disbelief as the Jedi runs toward Harry unarmed. Harry takes to the sky, and now this is where things get the most interesting. I think there are still some questions up in the air, unlike Harry Potter, who has been grounded by the Force. A big point Ray made was about Luke distracting Harry, stopping him from concentrating and casting spells. Matt made the case that Harry, unlike the common wizard, doesn't need to speak and spell, similar to Texas Instruments, for instance. Ray, however, also made the point that Luke could repel spells with his lightsaber like a blaster from a stormtrooper. The fact that Ray didn't say what's good for the goose is good for the gander, and Luke could Expelliarmus Harry's wand seems like a missed opportunity. Or if he did say that, I was probably just trying to pronounce Patronus over and over again in my mind. So let's move on. One of the biggest questions that is probably going to make or break this is what Matt brought up, was that the invisibility cloak could hide Harry Potter from the Force sense, even though Luke has gone through so much of his life blindfolded, which, might explain that whole episode 5 kiss. So if that's true, this could lean one way. If it's not, it would lean the other way. Does Harry even have time to get that cloak on mid-melee, though? And I don't think so, which might just take that question out of our hands. In the end, Harry Potter's reliance on a wand to primarily focus his magic more often than not is a crutch. while Luke has decades and decades of force training that requires no wands, no magic words, no hands even. For me, this is a very, very narrow victory that goes to Red 5. So, Rey, I am giving this to Luke Skywalker. But again, this is my opinion. I am but one voice. You all, the listener, have the chance to make the official vote on our Patreon.
Let me say right now, the Patreon vote has been canceled. People do not get to voice their opinions. I'm happy with Sam's decision here, and I think we just call it hashtag Ray is right.
We definitely have the poll. It's already live. By the time this episode is aired, yes, it will already be up.
Hold on, I got to make some calls to Patreon.
Nope, can't do it. Matt, this was so well done, and even though you had that slow start, I think you really did use your time wisely. You pulled out all the stops, and that cloak question is a big one that I think could sway people one way or the other if they think he has time to use it. But any last thoughts on this battle?
Oof. I just think you're overvaluing the Force. the metachlorian count is not going to be in his favor here. You know, the reality is that Harry uses the wand, but he is also the master of death, which I did say.
That's fair. Ray, any
but
other
is he
thoughts
the
on
master of getting his hand cut off? I say the answer is yes.
He is the master of getting all the bones in his hand removed.
Oh my God.
Yep, there it is. It makes it difficult to hold a wand. I've tried.
That is true. Well, a big high five to both of you, because that is all one of you can do. Matt, thank you so much for joining us. Do you want to tell people where they can find you online?
Yeah, you can find us at gungnerdbooks.com. That's GUNGNIRbooks.com. At Bad Grammar on YouTube. That's bad with 2 D's and 3 M's. It's our weekly book club show. It's basically if The Office or Community was a book club, is what the show is about.
Oh, nice.
It's really, really fun. We debate a different book every week on the show. 5-camera, multicam, really well produced. The team's incredible that does it. Our mutual friend Rama is a rock star on that show. And then we have a podcast on the Uncensored Nerds Network called Mead and Myth, where me and my buddy Steve Orlando debate myths and drink a lot of mead.
Nice. That's fantastic. All right, Ray, any last thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, my last thought is how great I am. I really came in here and just did a wonderful job on this show. I probably have done this before, but I'm going to high five myself because I have both my hands, unlike Harry Potter at the end of this fight. No, I am going to shout out everyone's favorite, Rama Valuri, who helped put this episode together. So shout out to Rama, one of the stars of my audio drama, Vampire the Masquerade's Reclaimed Detroit, a Vampire the Masquerade audio drama. Rama, of course, is the lead in episodes 4 and 6, DJ Max Stylus. And it's one of my favorite characters and one of my favorite people. So shout out Rama Valuri and go check out, go to vampiredetroit.com or wherever you podcast. Check out Reclaim Detroit. Otherwise, I'm going to say right now, Matt, way to come in here. Give me everything that I could possibly hope for out of a first matchup. A lot of folks come in here and poop the bed. I don't think for a second you did. I am very curious how the fans will vote. I am very curious which aspects of this battle they're going to glom onto and make the most important to themselves. And I don't know how this vote's going to go. That's why we will not be doing one. Is that right, Sam?
We will be doing one.
Canceled it.
100% a vote.
Officially?
Cannot not have a vote. It is the whole conceit of the show. All right, gang. Thank you so much.
I'm told by the producers we are doing a vote.
Yes,
and for me to stop saying we're not.
That's
okay.
Right.
That's what they said. And they used a
They
lot of
were
other very
upset
rude
you
words that
wouldn't
will
let us
not make this
post
episode.
stick pics, and now they just want the vote. All right, we'll be back with the wrap-up show next week, going over your votes, reading your comments and reviews and other things you've left on our Discord and social media. So go there, post all of your things. And yeah, make sure to vote over at patreon.com/whowouldwinmasters. And if you think you've got what it takes to step into the challenger's chair, record a 1-minute video demo of yourself, send it to whowouldwinmasters@gmail.com, and we might see you sitting across from Ray in the future. And if you've got an Echo device, next Tuesday, don't reach for your phone or your laptop. Just say, Alexa, play Who Would Win Masters, and start your morning right. For Who Would Win Masters, this is Sam Proof. I'll see you in the arena.